What's up guys, welcome back. This is Anime Crossover. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was the Emperor of Elements, in the Avatar Part 5. Now, let's begin. Naruto's POV. Approximately 5 hours were left until our arrival at the Western Air Temple when local meteorologists, specifically, birds, forecasted an unprecedented storm. Operating flights in adverse weather conditions is feasible, though it is certainly not an enjoyable experience. I have encountered unfavorable experiences in the past. It is advisable to periodically observe the flight of the birds. They will not misguide you. As the evening approached, we made the decision to spend the night on an uncharted island and resume our journey in the morning. We utilized a dry cave as our shelter for the night. No objections were raised. I am accustomed to such inconveniences, and the others were indifferent. Everything was quite novel for them. Ultimately, it marked their inaugural journey beyond the realms of perpetual winter. I wish I had the opportunity to learn waterbending earlier. It would allow me to explore the entire world, Katara expressed thoughtfully. Gathering around the campfire provides a truly enriching experience. The fire possesses an enchanting quality. It would take a century to attain that level, Sokka remarked, unable to hold back his comment. He was carefully examining ordinary stones, attempting to understand why he was unable to generate a spark with them, while I had successfully done so with the same stones. The mastery of firebending Kai is essential for achieving success. Katara lifted her nose with a dismissive expression. It seems you may be envious of my bending skills. Children, there is no need for disagreement. Each of you possesses unique strengths, Kaya remarked, stepping into the emerging conflict. Mother is correct. Genuine strength resides within, Sokka stated, placing his fingers on his temples. Intellect, reasoning, cleverness, regardless of the terminology, the core remains unchanged. His remarks resonated with Katara, who favored addressing challenges through bending. However, she declined to acknowledge his correctness, resulting in a silent evening for both of them. At least we will have a few hours of tranquility away from their disputes, Yui remarked to me. The flight was consistently engaging. Katara and Sokka excelled in debate, enhancing our journey in a more dynamic manner, I suppose. This is a minor issue. Consider Kaya, who must balance the interests of her two children, I responded. Kaya appeared somewhat fatigued, particularly on an emotional level. However, I understood the best way to conclude her day positively was to remain silent. After a duration of 2 hours, a restful and restorative sleep serves as an excellent conclusion to the day. We arranged our beds and made preparations for rest, or rather, we endeavored to find sleep at last. A spirited debate arose regarding the location adjacent to me. South Pole versus North Pole. Expressions, threats, facts, and arguments were all presented. However, ultimately, friendship prevailed. I had intended to rest by the wall, my preferred location. Now I find myself attempting to sleep with Katara and Yui positioned atop me. No, not merely resting, but holding me firmly in their embrace. How do such small bodies possess such remarkable strength? Ultimately, Kaya did not await my release from their small yet determined grasp. She peacefully fell asleep, entrusting me with the care of our delightful daughters. Good morning. The mountain range situated to the north of the Fire Nation. The Western Air Temple. Observing these inverted structures is quite disorienting, Sokka remarked. How was this constructed? Katara inquired with admiration, meticulously observing the architectural details. It's truly remarkable, concurred my younger sister, who was captivated by her surroundings. Kaya conveyed her happiness with a composed demeanor, yet the glimmer in her eyes communicated much more. The observation was certainly remarkable. The entire temple was constructed beneath a cliff, resulting in the buildings giving the impression of being upside down, yet inhabitants resided there in a manner similar to those in other air temples. Inside, the environment appeared isolated yet meticulously maintained. The rooms and certain household items conveyed a more inviting atmosphere in comparison to the Northern Air Temple. The presence of a woman's touch was perceptible, albeit to a lesser degree. Ultimately, various values were esteemed within these confines. The air nomads represented a unique society where every individual exhibited a higher level of spiritual development. Meditation constituted an integral aspect of their daily routines. The key factor was not the intensity of their bending, but rather their mastery of Kai control. While one might find fault in their naivety, kindness, and compassion, it is impossible to overlook the respect they command. They did not initiate any wars, nor did they engage in even a minor conflict. They existed and developed without causing any disturbance to others. We dedicated the entire day to exploring the temple, which appeared modest at first glance but contained numerous rooms within the mountain. A large pie show table was present, accompanied by an elegant fountain, and a hall of statues dedicated to the avatars and the most esteemed airbending masters. In the evening, we convened around the customary campfire. The air nomads demonstrated a remarkable ability to select ideal locations for their temples, Sokka remarked with admiration. However, these cliffs, he did not complete his thought as a powerful gust of wind propelled him nearer to the precipice. That was unwise, he remarked, once he had distanced himself from the hazardous area. Sokka, please exercise caution near the cliff. Katara expressed, concerned for her brother, though it was somewhat belated. At times, her words leave me momentarily speechless. However, I must acknowledge that their exchanges are quite engaging, particularly when one experiences them on a deeper level, as I do. Katara was prepared to employ her waterbending should Sokka falter, yet she refrained from vocalizing her intentions. How considerate. Time elapsed in this environment. Yui started to appreciate their interactions of goodwill, frequently instigating one party or the other intentionally. I needed to exercise some control over her at times. The concluding day of our visit to the temple carried a sense of melancholy. Katara, Yui, and Sokka expressed their reluctance to return home. However, we had made a commitment to our parents to ensure that everyone was brought back safely and promptly. The weather was not conducive to favorable conditions. A light drizzle commenced in the morning, and the sky appeared overcast, indicating a potential for a significant downpour later in the day. It would be advisable for us to depart shortly. I needed to complete my reading of the final teachings of the airbending masters before we could rejoin the group. Boundaries are merely a construct of the mind. How predictable. This is a sentiment echoed by every coach in their sessions, I remarked. However, I did not feel rushed to depart. This inscription by the airbending master possesses a unique quality, almost magnetic, due to its unresolved enigma. As I repeatedly examined the single line, I started to explore my inner self more profoundly. Memories began to resurface, specifically, those of mastering a challenging waterbending technique. Absorption, the process of collecting water from the atmosphere. I had not been able to comprehend it. Caring for plants was straightforward, but this, with each setback, I inadvertently diminished my confidence, halting my practice and prioritizing the more successful elements of waterbending. Throughout this period, I had been constructing a barrier that obstructed my advancement. Believing it to be unattainable, I had deviated from the correct course. At times, what one requires is simply faith, I remarked with a slight smile. With my hands raised, I concentrated on the moisture present in the atmosphere. Please remain composed. Please proceed with the task at hand. Please refrain from overthinking. My laughter resonated joyfully throughout the space. I faced challenges with this for 2 years, and the solution was evident all along. A small volume of water, sufficient to fill a cup, was suspended in the air. The core of joy. However, what does a small amount of time signify? There is still a considerable amount available. How did you accomplish that, brother? Please share your knowledge with us. Katara and Yui exclaimed. I was so engrossed that I failed to notice the arrival of others. It is gratifying to receive admiration. Kaya gazes at her exceptionally skilled partner with admiration. Indeed, acknowledging one's own achievements can be beneficial. Achieve your master status, and I will commence your training without delay, I stated, expecting a boost in their enthusiasm and output. I would like to conduct a brief lesson. Water is omnipresent. In humans, flora, fauna, and even in the atmosphere. Benders typically manipulate only the water that is visible to them. However, if water is so ubiquitous, why do we not utilize it all? I inquired of the girls. It requires a more methodical approach. One must tackle it incrementally, progressing from the simpler aspects to the more complex ones, Yui stated. I would like to express, if you wish to contribute to the discussion, please raise your hand. That is the correct answer, I stated, indicating towards her. Katara appears resolute. Do you have any additional comments? It can be challenging to envision the unseen, so enhancing your skills should be a priority, Katara remarked, anticipating agreement. You are both correct, I stated, offering a reassuring gesture. They possess abilities that extend beyond merely dispersing water. I could begin instructing them in this technique in a few years, during the full moon, when the connection to water energy is at its peak. I believe I may have left my bag in the farthest hall. Katara, Yui, Sokka, I have an important task for you. Please retrieve it, I stated, folding my hands together. It's not an issue. You seem to have a tendency to forget, brother, You could have handled it yourself, they responded. Identify the speaker of the statement. We will explore other options for the time being. Please return here in 30 minutes, I instructed them. Kaya indicated, your bag is in the pile over there. I had to ensure they remained engaged, I clarified. We now have 30 minutes, I stated, gently holding her hips in my hands. Positive experiences ought to be shared. That is our intention, I remarked, elevating us onto a water platform. A picturesque meadow was located nearby. We had not yet experienced it in a natural setting, correct? All objections are not accepted. I sealed her lips with a kiss. It's merely a mushroom. What if it emits a glow and has an unpleasant taste? Just a small bite. I attempted to persuade myself to consume a portion of this slightly toxic mushroom thriving in our greenhouse. Indeed, errors can occur as well. I required an assessment of my recently acquired resistance to toxins. The second chakra was activated the following day after our return home. I came to the understanding that I could no longer evade my challenges. The water chakra had been prepared for activation for some time, however, I had been reluctant to confront the challenging experiences associated with it, leading to continual delays in addressing the matter. The achievement I attained in waterbending provided the additional motivation I required. This occasion felt rather ordinary. The voices were less pronounced, and my thoughts were clearer. I moved resolutely toward my objective. I believe this level of ease may not be a constant occurrence. The outcome is contingent upon the specific emotion that is obstructing the chakra. The initial chakra was obstructed by fear. My experience was intense, making it more challenging to surmount. This chakra was obstructed by feelings of guilt, and there was limited energy to support it. Certainly, I acknowledge my past mistakes, but they do not define my present. I acknowledge my lack of restraint. Given the ease and ordinariness of the occurrence, I remain somewhat skeptical. The most effective method to evaluate it is through personal experience. Errors have educated individuals on the importance of avoiding dangerous situations. What distinguishes me if I consume this unattractive mushroom? I am prepared and focused. Here we go, I stated, taking a small bite. I may excel in communication, but I prefer not to be confined to the bathroom. Their sole side effect is that they effectively cleanse your system, so to speak. What is causing the delay, Naruto? My father's voice inquired. I have a meeting approaching. Will you be joining us, or not? The other restrooms are quite distant. I am coming out now, I responded. I arrived promptly after taking a bite, just to be prepared. After 30 minutes without any noticeable effects, I have successfully claimed the second chakra. Administer poison to me. Completely incapacitate me. I no longer experience fear. A month later, I embarked on another journey to explore the extensive territories of the Earth Kingdom. On this occasion, my destination was the Foggy Swamp, as it was an opportune moment to engage with the tribe residing there, our relatives. What information do I already possess regarding them? Exclusively what was presented in the animated series. The swamp can be described as a vast banyan tree, with its roots extending throughout the entire area and beyond. The location is, to say the least, distinctive. The insights it provides to the Avatar's team are truly remarkable. Certain waterbenders possess the ability to manipulate water within plants, exemplified by their primary spiritual leader, Hugh. The comics I have reviewed indicate that this skill is not exclusive to the swamp dwellers. Katara exemplified this in the extended version. One less mystery, I remarked, perceiving a formidable higher presence. As I approached the swamp, my conviction grew stronger that the essence I sensed was embodied in the tree itself. What is the reason for the emergence of duality? Is it possible that two spirits are present there? I will ascertain the information shortly. It is time to begin the descent. I detected two signatures of mid-level waterbenders. Look, too, there's someone flying, a voice remarked, surprisingly, in a rather whimsical tone. It appears they're on their way here. What actions should we take? The vines have not yet ensnared them, indicating a lack of malicious intent. Let us observe their response, replied Tu. Utilizing the keen perception of the Yuyan archers, I identified the renowned pair of swampbenders, Tu and Du. Du appeared tall and slender, whereas Tu had a more robust build complemented by stubble. As I approached, I ceased my manipulation of the water, allowing it to blend seamlessly with the swamp. It is highly advantageous to have the ability to extract water from the air at any time, eliminating the need to carry it with you. It appears to have been waterbending, Du remarked, scratching his head. Are we related? You have quite an appealing appearance. What was the reason for your concealment within the tribe? I don't believe I've encountered you previously, he remarked. I already empathize with your situation. I am Tu, and this is Du. May I inquire about your name? Tu asked with a composed demeanor, showing no response to Du's remarks. It appears he has become accustomed to it. I am Naruto, representing the Northern Water Tribe. I have come to learn about another water tribe located within the Earth Kingdom, and I thought it would be beneficial to explore and engage in conversation, I responded. It is advisable to use my real name to foster greater trust. Are there waterbenders even in the north? Du inquired, gradually reducing the speed of the boat. Hugh focused solely on the southern branch of the family. Given the number of relatives we have, it is essential that we plan a visit, he concluded. It appears we will not be hunting today, Tu remarked. Please board the boat. We will transport you to the tribe, he invited me. May I inquire about the number of waterbenders present in the outside world? He asked with curiosity. Historically, there were more individuals. The 100-Year War significantly impacted the population of the Southern Water Tribe. Currently, the remaining members reside with us in the north, I explained, conveying widely recognized information. Excuse me? Was there a conflict? Du inquired, reducing the boat's speed further. It appears that you have remained in the swamp consistently. Have you observed any activity? The foggy swamp seems to be unaffected by the conflict. Approximately a decade ago, the vines ensnared individuals clad in black and red armor. Occasionally, similar figures emerged from various areas of the swamp, but we have grown accustomed to it, Tu remarked with a shrug. Our sacred tree detects any hostile intentions from all living beings, thereby preventing their passage, he explained. It is surprising that no one was able to withstand the vines. It resembles an instinctive response to eliminate disturbances rather than a direct confrontation with a higher spirit. Particularly because those from outside perceive misconceptions. Are they merely visions? They could represent potential outcomes for the future. I assumed that everyone globally adopted such armor. I even attempted to wear it myself, but it proved to be excessively warm and cumbersome to remove, Du continued. I would like to express that, Du. You are truly remarkable. There are numerous new acquaintances. Just a week ago, an impressive young woman arrived here. I have never encountered anyone quite like her. I look forward to seeing her again, the gentleman remarked, clearly captivated. Du continued with great enthusiasm. Even her greenish skin tone does not detract from her appeal. Furthermore, her ability to control plants is remarkable. Quite fascinating. I am not aware of any such story. It is advisable to pay attention to the waterway, Tu remarked, maneuvering the boat to the left to circumvent a substantial route. She did not even acknowledge your presence, he cast a dismissive look at his companion. It seems there may be some envy regarding my appearance. Observe these arms, Du flexed, though there was little indication of muscle definition. Throughout the remainder of the journey, I concentrated on the methods Du employed to manipulate water. There is nothing particularly novel. Their style exhibits a more rugged quality, characterized by sharp and sweeping movements. However, it is effective for regulating the swamp's water, which is stagnant and more challenging to manage. As we neared the settlement, I started to distinctly perceive two elevated spirits, one of which, specifically her, seemed quite familiar, Naruto. Suddenly, I found myself enveloped in the firm embrace of a striking nymph. I have maintained a positive outlook for some time, yet you seemed absent. Were you intentionally distancing yourself? Did you not wish to meet with me? She inquired without hesitation. Drea, who else could it be? MMPH, I attempted to articulate, which proved challenging with my face nestled in her generous bosom. As you may have inferred, I was not in a rush to liberate myself. A temporary garment crafted from delicate, soft leaves enabled me to perceive her heightened arousal. Are they genuinely pleased to see me? Although I was reluctant to disrupt this delightful experience, I find myself unable to breathe through my pores. Hello, Drea. Achieving full higher spirit status has significantly enhanced her appearance. What I once perceived as a developing teenager has now transformed into a woman in her prime, standing confidently before me. A cascade of vibrant hair, unexpectedly appealing greenish skin, and complemented by a revealing outfit that suggested much while igniting the imagination. At that time, she also possessed garments that could be described as clothing. However, she acknowledged that they materialized independently. She had not considered the need to cover herself. The notion of shame associated with nudity was entirely unfamiliar to her. Is there a governing body of moral standards in our society? Or did the higher powers that created this world design various clothing templates within the evolutionary chains of the spirits? I am deviating from the intended path. It is important to comprehend the workings of the spirit world. I have been seeking you for 2 years and have visited various locations even after your departure. Drea frowned, and I anticipated the worst, but then, well, at least now we'll be together. Wherever you go, I'll follow. She quickly regained her enthusiasm. Let us proceed to the tree. I will share the details of my journey as we walk, she stated, the elderly Drea eager to engage in conversation. She took my arm and guided me upward. Has she consistently had such a floral scent? Inhaling her fragrance, I experienced a rising warmth within me, not indicative of any ailment, but rather something significantly more enjoyable. An active aphrodisiac. Or a calculated effort to entice? Others appear unaffected. They are simply admiring her physique, a typical response to her remarkable appearance. She was already in a relationship. That explains why my efforts were ineffective with her. Now it all becomes clear, I heard Du remark. As I listened to her conversation, I observed her leaning in closer, speaking with a more personal tone, her voice nearly brushing against my ear. I have not encountered such assertiveness previously. The initiative primarily rested with me in collaboration with Kaya and Shizuka. Could you please clarify where Drea acquired this information? Whom should I express my gratitude to? Could you please clarify the origin of this matter? Her recent inheritance became apparent just a week ago. As she traversed the spirit world, she sensed a profound connection emanating from the roots of the tree. The tree itself was not visible, only its roots extended from the surface adjacent to an uncharted sea. Engaging with them, she initiated a conversation with the local tree spirit. The entity that bequeathed her the inheritance is a relative of the local banyan, as they share the same roots and have grown in tandem. One remained in the spirit world, while the other transitioned to the human world, where it continues to exist. Upon discovering that his family had chosen to depart from this life, he made the decision to support his successor. Establishing a breach in the barrier for 2 elevated spirits proved to be straightforward, particularly given that the tree spirit upheld a small, continuous channel between the realms. For its development, it required minimal energy from this realm. Most was derived from the spirit world. The foggy swamp has remained resilient over millennia, with the tree continuing to grow taller and larger. Drea expressed her appreciation for the opportunity presented to her. In the realm of humanity, her prospects of locating me were significantly enhanced. Currently, she is engaged in training, diligently practicing all the techniques imparted by the kind spirit. Upon joining the higher spirits, she recognized the inherent dangers of her world. However, her desire to explore remained unwavering. With significant authority, she was able to confidently navigate and dominate territories that were once unfamiliar to her, making the assistance of the local spirit essential. At times, I reflect on the ways I navigated through challenges, she remarked with a chuckle. I fully concur. Fortune has undoubtedly favored you significantly. Please follow me. I will introduce you to Banyan. As I made contact with the tree's trunk, I sensed a response from an unfamiliar consciousness. I find it challenging when spirits convey messages through images, but I will manage to cope with it. After several minutes of contemplation, I gained a deeper understanding of the local spirit. His name was simply Banyan. This location exhibited its unique characteristics even prior to his arrival. The flow of time in this place was already distorted, leading individuals to occasionally perceive visions from the past, including long-departed loved ones, or glimpses of future occurrences. That is what he appreciates about it. By attuning to these currents, he is able to observe a range of events and potential future trajectories on a daily basis. For an enduring spirit, few things are as daunting as monotony. This swamp has provided engagement for centuries. The swamp tribe is akin to his own offspring. He instructed them on the management of water within plants, acknowledging that it was his endeavor to cultivate their abilities in plant bending. While it did not yield immediate results, progress is being made. The energy of the local benders now exhibits characteristics beyond that of pure waterbending. There are minor indications of tree and earth energies. It is possible that, over the course of several millennia, we may witness the emergence of the first plant benders, tree benders, or even nature benders in this region. Isn't his method of communication intriguing? Visuals keep appearing in my mind. Perhaps I will adapt to it over time. Oh no, here comes Hugh. I need assistance, or he'll begin his monologue once more. We are all branches of the same tree, and death and time are just illusions. She imitated Hugh's tone. Greetings, brother from the northern tribe. Hugh approached us. Not Jackman, merely an ordinary individual clad only in a loincloth. Hugh proved to be a candid individual, provided that one refrained from probing too deeply into his teachings. Perhaps that explains Dria's aversion to him. She is unaccustomed to another individual dominating the conversation. What captivated me beyond his words was his energy, which was consistently dynamic. Upon close observation, I came to realize the reason. Hugh represents a diminished iteration of an avatar, possessing mastery over only a single element. Upon inquiring with Banyan, he provided the information candidly. Throughout the generations of this tribe of benders, Hugh emerged as the first individual whose bending exhibited even a slight resemblance to plant bending. The spirit chose to conduct an experiment by imparting a small portion of his Kai to Hugh. It established a connection akin to the one Yui and I share. Hugh comprehends Banyan, and his bending will ultimately reflect the spirit's essence. When his reserves are exhausted, he can restore them through the spirit. Hugh may not achieve mastery in true plant bending during his lifetime. However, his children will likely have improved opportunities, and his grandchildren or great-grandchildren could potentially become accomplished plant benders. In the future, the swamp tribe will likely harness two elements. These are my observations, and they merit consideration. Hugh's philosophy of life began to take shape as his bond with the tree deepened. He unconsciously embraced the worldview of the spirit, reflecting its perception of the world. The spirit also experienced advantages. The Kai of human benders is more dynamic, which helps to prevent stagnation in its source. It is understood that spirits embody pure Kai, and stagnation can lead to a diminished appreciation for life, a phenomenon that may occur in older spirits as time progresses. That is the reason for the prevalence of dark spirits. They typically meet their end through violence, perpetually sustaining their energy by feeding on others. I found it fascinating how the spirit divided a portion of his gift. Upon Yui's birth, I bestowed upon her a substantial portion of my gift, whereas Banyan contributed a mere fragment, carefully cultivating it while ensuring its continued efficacy. Wan Shi Tong, what distinguishes you from the other light spirits? Wang, Dria, and Banyan provide assistance out of goodwill, expecting nothing in return. The tree spirit imparted his technique for isolating essence. While it is not ideal, he did experience a significant loss of strength for a period. However, his recovery was notably swift, possibly due to his elevated spirit. While it may not be essential, I will proceed with his method and conduct a comparison at a later time. I intended to proceed with this alongside Shizuka and Suki regardless. I hope to avoid arriving at Kiyoshi's settlement one day only to discover it in ruins. The village's prospects for self-defense would significantly improve with the presence of two fully trained benders and one in development. Dria requested that I wait an additional week for the completion of her training. She expressed her willingness to accompany me anywhere, conveying this in a particularly alluring manner. Could you please clarify the origin of this behavior? It seems unlikely that you arrived at this conclusion independently, I stated directly. Dria possesses an admirable innocence. She is unacquainted with deception or restraint. It is advisable to inquire directly while the opportunity is available. From books. Reading those letters was tedious, yet there were illustrations. You care for me, don't you? She inquired abruptly, with a serious demeanor. Is Dria fully aware of the meaning of that term? While I am not in a position to make judgments, I have reservations about whether she fully comprehended its significance solely through reading. She was previously regarded as a lesser spirit. I do, I responded candidly. Affection can represent various interpretations. Certainly, I have intentions of intimacy, but would Dria grasp the underlying significance? That is the inquiry. I feel the same way, she expressed with enthusiasm. What compels me to seek your presence so frequently? What drives my desire to be with you? These questions have occupied my thoughts until I encountered an intriguing establishment. I believe it is referred to as a library. Within its walls, a benevolent guide introduced me to literature on relationships. I absorbed every word. To fortify our bond, we must engage in intimacy. It's the most dependable approach. In the spirit world, there exists but one library. Was there a significant owl present? I inquired. You have experienced that as well? Indeed, there was a wise owl and a fox, Dria affirmed, corroborating my observations. What specific information did you convey to him? Perhaps I am simply being overly cautious. I expressed my feelings, conveyed my desire to meet Naruto, and provided a description of your appearance, and that was the extent of our conversation, she said with a shrug, seemingly unaware of my concern. Wan Shi Tong. I am aware of your tactics. There will be consequences for this later. I reflected. The essence of knowledge was fully aware of my identity yet still provided Dria with dubious literature. I find it hard to believe that there were no conventional romance novels available. Please refrain from sharing any additional information with that spirit, as I do not have confidence in him, I stated. Does Wan Shi Tong take pleasure in causing me distress? Could you please share the titles of the books you have read? I inquired with a relaxed demeanor. The Path to a Man's Heart. A Woman's Irresistibility, A Clever Tongue. A Woman's Greatest Weapon, How to Use Your Body Skillfully. There were additional titles, but these stood out as the most beneficial, she asserted, her eyes gleaming with excitement. It is evident that they made a significant impact. I have also read those books. While they are not lacking in quality, it is worth noting that they were authored by a former elite courtesan. Auntie Lan required financial support, yet her beauty had diminished. Consequently, she embarked on a writing career, offering guidance to individuals seeking to attract men, advice aligned with her previous profession. At times, I felt a sense of embarrassment while reading them. That's the level of professionalism she exhibited. It is now evident why Drea behaves in this manner. Fortunately, she placed her trust in me. I provided a comprehensive explanation of the true nature of love. Indeed, while great intimacy is essential for a healthy relationship, I believe that the profound connection between souls holds greater significance, emphasizing respect, support, and the acceptance of your partner as they are. It is not possible to articulate everything through language. Genuine love develops over time. Initially, it often manifests as a cleverly masked infatuation. I acknowledge that I have not attained that level in my previous experiences, but I aspire to achieve it in this life. It may be perceived as justifications, but I view her as someone who has not yet fully grasped the complexities of the world. There is no necessity for haste. That is the message I aim to communicate, and it appears I have achieved some level of success in doing so. She continued to express her affection towards me, acknowledging that her intentions were rooted in a desire to demonstrate her fondness in that manner. My experience in the Misty Swamp was characterized by a persistent desire for nourishment and the pursuit of superior sustenance. The local inhabitants consumed swamp fish and insects, all of which appeared unappetizing. I am grateful that my considerable life energy and Drea's bending capabilities provided me with assistance. Through her bending abilities, Drea was capable of cultivating a variety of fruits and vegetables within minutes, although some were initially toxic yet visually striking. Activating my second chakra has proven to be worthwhile. Residing in close proximity to a formidable Kai generator, the majority of the tribe members possess bending abilities. However, even Drea finds it challenging to navigate the various dangers present in this environment. Their population remains consistently below a specific threshold. I have not encountered such a range of diversity in my healing practice. The majority of residents exhibited significant health challenges, and the most concerning aspect is that these conditions are often masked, only becoming fully apparent in later years when the body's ability to manage them diminishes. Few individuals reach the age of 50. At this moment, I cannot assure their survival through the healing process. Under these circumstances, survival would have been highly unlikely. Banyan needs to recognize this. His assistance is evidently required. This prompted me to consider the development of specialized antibodies that become active in response to bodily threats. I may not be an expert, more accurately, I have no expertise at all, but for an individual who works with life energy, specialized knowledge isn't a requirement. Initially, progress was gradual. A member of the tribe would present themselves for examination. I would assess their condition, identify any harmful organisms, conduct a thorough study, and then develop a countermeasure utilizing life energy. Ultimately, I would collect a blood sample to establish a reference for comparable cases. The initial patients presented with a variety of unidentified pathologies, all of which required documentation. It was only after addressing half of the tribe that similar cases began to emerge. The experience was engaging and demanded meticulous attention to detail. As my visits here will be infrequent, I have chosen to engage in a knowledge exchange. I will instruct Hugh in healing bending, while he will provide me with guidance on plant control. He was the sole individual in the tribe who swiftly excelled in healing techniques. Water control in plants is as beneficial as sandbending. Both are effective only under certain circumstances. The primary advantage of acquiring knowledge in both areas is the enhancement of control over fundamental elements. Upon mastering sand in the spirit world, my proficiency in earthbending improved considerably. The process of generating lava has shifted from a reliance on firebending to a greater emphasis on earth kai. I aspire to hone my skills into the mastery of pure earthbending in the future. Furthermore, after engaging with these minute particles, I am close to perceiving the earth within metals, an initial step towards mastering this valuable bending technique. I am uncertain about the specific benefits that plant control bending may provide, but I am confident that it will offer advantages. I seek something significant. The masters of the Northern Tribe have become overly familiar with my methods. I require a more serious approach. However, those techniques are highly dangerous and not suitable. I often struggle to control my desire to utilize my other elements. At times, I feel an urge to release a torrent of flames. Bloodbending has demonstrated exceptional capabilities. However, every ability possesses inherent weaknesses. At my level, I possess the capability to oversee an entire moderately sized community of individuals or manage 50 less proficient benders. For medium-strength benders, the number is even lower, 10, with a negligible risk of losing my control. The likelihood is minimal, yet it remains a possibility. The level of Chi saturation in their blood is a determining factor. A more powerful bender presents greater challenges in terms of control. During sparring sessions with masters, my primary achievement is the ability to control a limb momentarily, such as deflecting an arm to ensure their attack is ineffective. It serves its purpose, but I prefer to limit its use as it tends to stand out too much. I prefer not to disclose such techniques, not out of reluctance, but due to my consideration for the broader implications. If I entrust it to reliable experts at this moment, there is a risk that someone may share it with a family member in violation of the prohibition, or document it, leading to its potential misuse. I recall the issues that the bloodbender created in *The Legend of Korra. It is advisable to keep this bending matter between myself and Hama. She is elderly, maintains a private lifestyle, and resides on an island inhabited by individuals from the Fire Nation. No waterbending students will be present. It is to be hoped that there will not be another Katara. Goodbye everyone, we look forward to seeing you again soon, Drea said as she waved to those who were seeing us off. Banyan and the Swamp Water Tribe stay behind while Drea and I proceed with our journey. Despite her well-rounded personality, Drea's knowledge was comparable to that of a child aged 8 to 10 years. The information imparted to her by the spirit was devoid of conventional human understanding. However, she possessed the ability to hybridize two entirely distinct plants in mere seconds, a feat that would challenge even a skilled waterbender. Drea was not one to conceal her emotions regarding any matter. If she appreciated something, she would express it immediately. If she did not, then please refrain from looking at me in that manner. Auntie Lan has indicated that individuals like you tend to equate love with financial transactions, she asserted, raising her voice and gesturing with her finger towards the overweight aristocrat. In light of this development, the man became visibly flushed. After casting one final lingering look at Drea, he promptly withdrew to his carriage. He would have attempted something had it not been for that, wouldn't he? Not in a position to engage directly with Roku himself. A man had been observing us in the market for an hour, clearly fixated on my companion's appearance. A spirit possesses senses that surpass those of humans, and even in a passive state, a higher spirit's perception can identify the smallest speck of dust within a 100-meter radius. To be candid, I was not anticipating such patience from Drea. However, enduring an hour under that unprofessional gaze is quite noteworthy. I found myself growing weary of waiting for her response, contemplating the possibility of having to confront this immortal on my own. Such episodes occurred in every settlement or city, not always with negative implications, yet they undeniably attracted attention. Drea's presence alone generated intrigue, and when she spoke, her unexpected remarks were sufficient to leave anyone astonished. I believe I have identified the reason behind this. Drea's situation resembles that of a developing individual, where the groundwork of their character is established unconsciously. A particularly vivid and memorable experience remains with them indefinitely. The initial books Drea read, she accepted as unequivocal truth. She was never informed that individuals could be deceptive or withhold information. Spirits convey their emotions in a straightforward manner. Why choose to withhold or mislead when strength ultimately governs all outcomes? What is the reason for my significance to her? I have contemplated this question numerous times, and the only somewhat rational conclusion I have reached is this. Our second meeting, during which she first acquired her new powers, was indeed significant. Her awareness connected with the sole rational individual she had ever encountered, someone who posed no threat to her existence but, rather, was sincerely pleased to see her. It may be described as a form of imprinting. The situation is complex, therefore it is advisable to refrain from drawing final conclusions at this time. Spirits, particularly those at elevated levels, possess the ability to modify their forms, not in a drastic manner, but with potential for transformation. To the best of my knowledge, This is typically done only in exceptional circumstances. What is the point when nature has already provided you with a well-formed physique? Drea needed to modify her skin tone to appear more human-like and fashion a more modest attire from her leaves, reflecting the local clothing style. We selected the most understated colors and styles, yet a diamond retains its brilliance even in the mud. Currently, individuals are speculating about who possesses the influence to engage Roku for the purpose of escorting and safeguarding their daughter while she is disguised as an ordinary person. There are individuals who may not fully comprehend the situation, yet they express sincere happiness in my presence. A distinguished visitor. We welcome you, Roku, called out a cheerful elder who had been expertly handling a shovel in the field. My wife will prepare your favorite, what are they called again? He scratched his bald head, feeling a bit embarrassed. Pancakes, correct? My thoughts seem to be wandering. Who are you referring to as an old lady? Have you completely abandoned your apprehensions? Exclaimed a composed woman from the entrance. Auntie Rin possessed remarkable hearing abilities, and her reprimands were precisely delivered. Uncle Wan promptly returned to his tasks with quiet diligence. Roku, you appear to have lost weight. Please, come inside. We received word from traders just days ago that you would be arriving, and we have been preparing for your visit. Do come in, or everything will become cold, she insisted, guiding Drea and me into the house, disregarding my polite attempts to decline. In every province, there are 2 or 3 villages where a grandma has adopted me as her grandson who must be fed well. I don't complain much. Their food is usually good, and with my metabolism, I can't discuss the dangers of overeating. But I have a residual anxiety from my prior existence, when I didn't have today's abilities and didn't want to disappoint the grandparents. Hello, my white friend. We're back together again, and every time they see me alone, they want to pair me up with rural girls. Shizuka, who travels with me, occasionally steps in to save the situation. Drea now serves as my protective shield. Oh, you finally decided to start a family, she said as she prepared the table. That's good, that's right. She then leaned closer to my ear. This is also beautiful, but the one with the fans was far superior. She said, look at this one. Oh, Drea was still unaccustomed to tableware, so she plunged into the communal dish with her hands and began devouring away. It's embarrassing. My error. I forgot about it. She lived in a tribe where they don't use utensils, but her heart is kind. I attempted to explain her actions. Come on, do I judge? She waved her hand. I know what you men look at first, she finished with a wink. I saved one community from raids, assisted in the construction of another, and gradually became a valued visitor in many homes across many socioeconomic strata, from ordinary farmers to the city's governor. My return to the North Pole with Drea was amazing. Mom and Dad, I'm so glad to finally meet you. Drea hurried to hug my perplexed parents, who immediately hugged her back and looked at me for answers. They did not have a second daughter. Ahem, this is Drea. She's a kind spirit who wanted to explore our world, I told everyone present. Yes, it's wonderful here. Delicious food, no nasty or evil spirits, she declared, quickly overwhelming them. And there's Naruto. He will be my master in the future. Auntie Lan's books appear to have permanently altered her thought process. I wanted her to present it less definitely. Perhaps she knows everything perfectly and is simply pretending to laugh at people's reactions. We're probably very happy about that, right, Arnuk? Mom didn't know what to say, so she quietly asked Dad for aid. If it is what you want, of course. I know our son is a catch. Dad started getting carried away. I'd be happy to have an addition to the family. I understood no one wanted to offend the cheerful girl who was so happy to meet near strangers. That evening, I had a separate talk with Kaya, who did not view Drea as a threat. And my more detailed explanation of her nature made it evident that she was still developing, but there was nothing against the girl herself as a candidate for our family. Drea integrated effortlessly and seamlessly into our large family. Many of her peculiarities were attributed to her nature, but her major weapon of broad appeal was her large green eyes, which always looked at you with childish innocence and sincerity. Those eyes could be excused for anything. We needed to urgently expand the underground greenhouses. Drea helped us produce plants that did not require sunshine. People were eager to kiss her hands as soon as different berries, fruits, and veggies came on the tables. It appeared that if Arnuk had not wielded such power, they would have nominated Drea as leader. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but she did become the tribe's favorite. Spirit Realm. 2 months later. Solstice. I knew today would be a great day. I said joyfully, joining my buddy at the location of my first sleep in the spirit realm. Vong, why are you scratching your back so hard? Are ghosts plagued with fleas? I giggled at the ridiculous sight of Vong frantically scratching his back against a tree. Friend, it's been a long time since we saw each other. Vong immediately recognized me. It's fantastic to see old pals. We didn't have much time, but we wanted to share news and chat. We don't meet every day. I didn't remember the major goal of my visit until after I had talked sufficiently. The hours spent were worthwhile. A monkey spirit joined us, knowing the general locations of higher spirits. Target 1. A water spirit like a whale and jellyfish. I retract my statement. The human world fauna is considerably more sensible than the spirit worlds. I have never seen such a monstrosity. What a wonderful day. The spirit is digesting its latest capture, so the element of surprise is on our side. I'm not sure why I always referred to Vong as a monkey spirit since his element is earth, but I'm more pleased about it. Drea and Vong began preparing the area, gradually moving the earth and pebbles that would eventually bind the dark spirit. Let us begin, I said, thinking. In that moment, the soul was wrapped by what appeared to be an infinite stream of varied shades of brown and gray, essentially, earth and rocks. That tightly tied its body, providing me valuable time. Give up your energy. I managed to shout before wrapping a water whip around myself and jumping into the spirit's body. I needed to be as close as possible to the moment it died. Damn, it's a tough one, I thought as my body pierced the spirit and ripped through what passed for flesh. Tremors started within a few seconds. The opponent had broken free from the bindings, but it was unlikely to help now. I vividly remembered my initial meeting with the higher earth spirit. There are only two ways to win: overwhelming might, numerical supremacy, or destroying the spirit's core, similar to a human's heart. There it is. A little, brilliant blue gemstone. The source of all a higher spirit's strength. Let us add some water energy. Ah! The spirit let forth an uncomfortable sound immediately before it died. The stone, which was already covered in tiny fissures, eventually exploded, giving some of its energy to me. Every cell in my body thrilled at the vitality it got. I'd never absorbed such a tremendous spirit before. How's it going? Vong inquired suspiciously. Just a droplet short of leveling up. I shook my head in sorrow, knowing it may take years. There is another one close. I believe we will succeed, he said, encouraging me. 2 hours later. Let's get out of here, I yelled, fearing serious trouble. We traveled 100 meters in just 2 seconds. Another 2 seconds were spent creating fortifications, including water and earthbending. At that moment, a massive explosion ripped through the stone wall and badly damaged the water shield. That was close, Vong remarked. Let's call it a day, okay? Please, he pleaded pleadingly. That was fun. We should hunt higher spirits more often, Drea exclaimed. Unlike the earthbending spirit. Time's almost up, I checked my internal clock. The second spirit was more powerful than the first, yet it was ineffective against 2 full-fledged higher spirits and a waterbender wielding 3 elements. The battle resembled a one-sided pounding, with the expected conclusion. All that remained was to locate its heart. As soon as we found it, the spirit recognized what was about to happen. Knowing it couldn't get away, it decided to take us with it. We didn't immediately discover that its core was collapsing. Only Vong had any experience fighting higher spirits, and even he did not know all. We suspected something was awry right before the massive blast. We barely made it out. We'll now understand what to expect from a desperate higher spirit. That fatal strike may have sent us all into a cycle of reincarnation. We got to spend a little more time with Vong before it was time to leave. The day was quite fruitful. I'm hoping that vigorous waterbending training will help me obtain the final components required for a rank increase. An unnamed forest in the Earth Kingdom. Half a month following the solstice. It's about time I met my first firebending teacher. As useful as my innate abilities are for mastering this element, having an instructor would be significantly more effective. But everything has to happen on my terms. Found anything? I asked Drea, who was strolling alongside me. She was eagerly listening to the whispers of the forest, which conveyed everything going on around us. Yes, there's a small human settlement to the south, near a river, she said after a few seconds. So the informants were not lying. Persons from Zheng Zheng's organization were seen in this region. I hope we can make a deal with him. We're being surrounded by some people, my friend nonchalantly explained. I concentrated on my senses and saw these individuals. Homemade spears and shabby clothing, Zheng Zheng's disciples aren't living in style. The Admiral's soldiers followed us until we reached their camp. Clearly, there are veteran warriors among them who saw us as a threat and opted to wait until we entered their camp, where they would have a better chance. That was a smart move. I'm now utilizing my genuine appearance. Naruto from the Northern Water Tribe, with her assistant. Drea changed her appearance to resemble a normal woman in our tribes. Slightly tanned, dark-haired, and blue-eyed. And, damn, the new appearance is great for her. Before we arrived at the campsite, new people began to congregate around our duet. None of them appeared to be particularly powerful. They didn't call on their leader in every crisis. Let's watch what Zheng Zheng's subordinates say, or if they attack us directly. Who could you be? Looking for something, gentlemen? A man inquired quietly and smiled. His clothing were worn, his beard and hair disheveled, but he created a strong first impression. It's all about the way you hold yourself. The charisma is undeniable. Interesting people have gathered around this deserter. And ladies, he said, his attention turning to Drea. His look indicated only modest interest and caution. Dude, you're slick. His stare continues to strip this exquisite nymph, and even I can't resist. Will Zheng Zheng be available today? Why is my mouth working against me? I just wanted to clarify everything fully. Oh well, I'm always ready for a warm-up. Drink it. I threw a blob of water at some random man. Sorry, buddy, you are just backdrop here. I don't even need to know your name. You should not have poked me with your spear. Don't injure them too much. They're good guys. I warned Drea. We've been through this before. Some folks still don't realize how delicate the human body is and go all out. If they're good, why are we fighting them? She inquired, absurdly curious. Sometimes, to become good friends, you need a good fight first. The good old days. Bickering about trifling matters on the soccer field, fighting, making up, and then playing again. Got it? Oh, no, I just created more problems for myself. Note to self. Clarify this issue later, or she'll pick battles with someone in our tribe. After dealing with the extras, I concentrated on defeating the old man. He was demonstrating some impressive earthbending moves. Years of training were evident. Techniques flowed one after the other, gradually drawing me away from the main brawl where Drea was having fun. I didn't even try to interrupt his plan because I was so taken with his style. Once we were away from the main action, my opponent quickly took out several round items, ignited them, and hurled them at me. I love fireworks, I remarked, emerging unscathed from the explosions of many minor but hazardous firebending attacks. Show me more. Even my childishness does not alter my demeanor. A true professional. Hello, Zuko. Come get your boy. Now he probably thinks I'm insane. He stopped attacking, which was disheartening. I said, Naruto, Northern Water Tribe, future leader of the Northern Water Tribe, future chief of the Earth Kingdom, future ruler of the Fire Nation, future spiritual leader of the Air Nomads. This made me think of the scene where a specific Targaryen's titles are given out. I come in peace, I responded, opening my arms and smiled. Oh, his eyelid moved. I nailed the mark. Is everyone from the Water Tribe this annoying? Someone asked from behind. He didn't even assault, and I left my back open to you, Zheng Zheng. What a dull thing. I turned to face him and said, you'll get used to it, Admiral. Yes, I'll take you all north. I need people like you. Zheng Zheng responded, I don't think so. Why are you here? He questioned in a calm voice. I now know who, the old man, learned from. How to act like a wanderer but still being dignified. It looks like he got those scars near his eye from a serious battle with a street cat over food. I'm talking too much today. I have a plan that will help you and your people, I stated after taking a big breath and calming down. My Kai is developing too fast. Right now it's at its highest point, and I know this won't stop until I'm 23, when my body is at its best. Okay, I'll listen, he said. Let's go to the settlement. I questioned him, where is the girl who was with me? There are a lot of bodies that have been battered, but Drea is nowhere to be seen. That's weird. She just ran by my hut, talking excitedly about a new plant. She found a fresh sample, which is why she hasn't been around. Finding a new plant is more fun than a bunch of guys. The camp seemed well kept, and even the stone roads were in good shape. The houses looked like big dog kennels, which was innovative. He yelled, Shay, to the guy who fought me. Take care of everything here. That's what he goes by. He makes me think of someone. Oh, yes. That's the person that took the Avatar's crew to the camp. What makes him so different? He was kind of silly back then. When I walked into the hut, I quickly looked around with my eyes. There isn't much here. An old teapot, some burning candles, and something that looks like garments. He didn't even offer tea and asked right away, "What's the proposal?" I said, "Your move to the North Pole." "Details," he said, not saying nay right away. "That's a good place to start. We need skilled warriors. The Fire Nation doesn't care about our tribe right now, but that peace won't last forever," I remarked, "one of many reasons. Why not work together? They won't leave you alone either." "It all sounds too good. Let me guess. Then we'll be sent to defend our new home on the front lines? Will it be that smooth? I doubt your people have forgotten the bloodshed caused by the Fire Nation." "My word will be enough. Of course, there will be tension, but no killings from our side. I hope you can keep your men in check too. I know that look, internal turmoil. It's time to add more fuel to the fire. Our healers will be waiting for you. They will take care of everyone who needs it. You can eat, sleep peacefully, and even start a family. All we ask for is loyalty." Jung Jung closed his eyes and stood still like a statue, deep in meditation. 2 minutes went by, and things got worse. "It looks like I'm going to be turned down. It's time to show some cards. The Avatar, just one person, can stop the war and bring peace to our world. We all hope for them, don't we, Admiral?" "There's a connection," he said in a gloomy voice. "I'm not an admiral anymore. Why is one person in charge of the fate of all people? Do avatars have different blood? Maybe they're not even human. What do you think? Not an admiral? Why do people follow the Avatar?" As I spoke, I drew water from the air, and soon other animals I'd seen previously were swimming around us. "He doesn't want to talk? Then I'll keep going. It's a sign. Thousands of avatars have made their names. People already have a messiah in their heads. But how do we know this is the Avatar? Our savior? I pray these lectures aren't for nothing. Bending? When nations are happy with one element, the Avatar masters all four. What if a being appeared who could master all four elements? Could they be called an Avatar? Do they have the right to bear that title? What's the point of all this empty talk?" Not an admiral," remarked, now a little annoyed. "I'll put together my fleet, and you'll be an admiral again." Okay, one last question. Which element do I control? I'm good psychologically. Just answer the question. Why can't I do all the talking? Water. I'm a waterbender. I move the figures of water around. Then what is this? I lifted myself in a piece of earth. "Ah, earthbending. Apshi," I said, as a torrent of fire came out of my mouth. "Looks like I'm the Avatar." "Not yet, I'm missing air, but it'll come." Jung Jung asked, "The new Avatar?" And then he looked at me closely. "No, I'll tell you everything, but you should know that I won't let you go now," I said. The show made him look like a good guy, but I don't trust luck. Not just me talking, but true conversation started. It was harder to get him to believe I wasn't the Avatar than to get him to move. Dria's entrance dashed his dreams. Seeing a spirit in person actually helps you deal with the truth. Just because you have a lot of things doesn't mean you're the Avatar. And believing that these things originated from a spirit? Not at all. The Avatar did inherit their elements from Rava, but Rava hasn't been remembered for a long time. At the end of the day, I had a teacher and our tribe got new members. I talked to our tribe about this a few days ago. Don't ask how hard it was to explain why Jung Jung's people should join us. I could have just ordered it, of course, as I have the power to do so, but that may quickly break trust. So, I spent a few hours trying to convince the council. They knew it was excellent, but their hearts still wanted Fire Nation blood. "Only take what you need. We'll provide everything else at our new place." Shay told everyone what to do as Jung Jung comfortably drank tea in the shade. He's had it easy. The pupil does the task, and the teacher sleeps. But I can't relax. The ex-admiral only has one ship that works well enough for long trips, and it can only hold half of his crew. We need another ship right away. We could make a temporary ice ship, which I intended to do, or we could borrow one from the Fire Nation, which Jung Jung thought of. But Dria had other ideas. She intended to build the spacecraft herself. We choose not to show her element, therefore it's happening somewhere else. I'll give my present to Suki or Shizuka soon, and I probably won't be able to use it anymore. Dria will be the only one who can cross the ocean. Change everything. No cool fly traps on deck. Those things could eat a person if they weren't watched, and they would show her element. I am no longer under your spell, Dria, I said, closing my eyes and feeling everything via my spirit's feelings. She is used to dominating her surroundings by using her looks and making puppy eyes. We had everything done in 2 days. Dria's spacecraft turned out to be normal, which is excellent. The ship she constructed, or rather, gave birth to, is a semi-sentient plant that can sail by itself. But folks will have to row because wooden ships here don't have such feature. We're ready to leave now. You rapidly become used to the nice life. I had entirely forgotten what it was like to not fly. Instead, I had to crawl along on a spacecraft that couldn't even travel half as fast as I usually go. It's especially great when you're sailing against the current or when the rowers get tired and you have to rely on the wind. Dria found her purpose. She couldn't bear even one day without adventure because she was always on the move. Dria is actually exploring the ocean's depths and studying its plant life, even though everyone thinks she's at her cabin. Every new thing she finds gives her ship more functions and abilities. I feel bad for Jung's workers sometimes because they work so hard when the ship could go much faster without them. A waterbender who exclusively uses their power for battle is not a good one. Thank goodness I'm not like that, and the ex-admiral had nothing to do with it. He didn't remind me of a waterbender's might. Jung gave me a little tip, and I started using waterbending to speed up our ships. We can't go directly to the pole without being seen. The Fire Nation's few ships patrol most of it, and they have built up a decent watch by making excellent use of their resources. To get 2 ships by without anyone seeing them, we'll have to go to the other end of the pole, where there are no communities, only fields of snow that go on forever. There, a group of benders, bear dogs, and buffalo yaks pulling sleds will be ready to convey us to the capital. It seemed like Jung had gotten rid of the shell of fatalism. He said he had been living on autopilot for years and didn't see a future for his team. They would follow him to the end, putting the ones who trusted him completely, good boys and girls, at jeopardy. He often pondered about moving his people to a faraway region and getting away from his pursuers by himself. But Che didn't agree. The group wouldn't stay together without the admiral. They followed him. It would be excessively self-centered. These kinds of talks helped us learn more about each other. There wasn't much else to do on the ship anyway. Why did you decide to leave? I always wanted to know the genuine reason. There's no one reason. It's been building up for years, Jung said with a frown. I was born on a small island with only one settlement. Life was normal. I had nothing to compare it to back then. The main thing was, there was enough food. I was lucky. My bending gift showed up early. Every boy in the village dreamed of becoming a warrior for our nation, to punish our enemies with fire and sword, the admiral chuckled bitterly. Then came the training years, no time to think. The army taught me to ignore some bad things. Power was more intoxicating than the best alcohol, and the environment pushed me to be ruthless. Before I knew it, I was an admiral. That's when things changed. I couldn't help but break the extended stillness and ask, what happened next? Next. The admiral snapped out of his daydream. I saw the truth. With the new rank came more access. I saw military statistics and other archives. I realized that the war wasn't just about resources or land, things we'd long lacked. The war had become an end in itself. Most production was for military purposes. The aristocrats held all the power. They were the admirals and generals. Only the capital and their resorts, like Coal Island, prospered. The common people got only scraps. Some Earth Kingdom colonies had already surpassed our Fire Nation cities in development. Only 5 out of 10 recruits make it through their first year in the army. I used to think that was normal. Many of us were willing to die for our people's prosperity. But at my first military council, I learned how little they truly valued their soldiers' lives. They'd send 10,000 to their deaths for a territory that wasn't strategically important without a second thought. Those councils had a strange harmony. Everyone wanted the Fire Lord's favor. War covered everything, so results were all that mattered. I could suggest strategies or ideas, but I couldn't criticize decisions. Only nobles could do that. Not much better than the Earth Kingdom, but not as bad. I said what I thought. He shook his head and said, that's only half the problem. My circle shared my views. Together, we fought for the common people and soldiers' interests. Things changed when some of us were initiated into the lower aristocracy. The fire sages always conduct those ceremonies. During initiation, the candidate must synchronize their flame with the sage's fire. Easy even for a regular firebender. But after those ceremonies, our friends change. For the worse. They develop traits unlike them. Greed, bloodlust, anger, and more. At first, we didn't notice. Power always changes people, we thought. We could bring them back. But when each of them, after similar ceremonies, became different, we grew alarmed. Things in the Fire Nation are weird, nothing like the show. Our investigation showed that the Fire Sage's power is stronger than ever. Azulon's iron grip keeps them from taking over completely, but he won't last forever. Ozai's power is growing, and the sages like him. We saw a pattern. Those who opposed their power ended up dead. Piandao was right. We shouldn't have dug so deep. Soon, my friends met the same fate. They crushed us from all sides. Some gave up. By the end of my service, I was alone. Che walked inside the cabin with Jasmine tea, as if he could sense how his master was feeling. We agreed to keep going after a cup without saying anything. I had nothing to stop me from doing stupid things. My parents were dead, I had no friends, and I never started a family. But I wanted to give the next generation a chance to fight. So I decided to break into a Fire Sage temple to find out how they change people. Those who were supposed to help the people were hurting them, he said with a sarcastic laugh. There was also corruption among spiritual leaders in my world. My subordinates probably included their agents. I told my most trusted people that I would do something illegal, so they should disavow me. I wanted to protect them. That same day, strangers attacked me. Luckily, I hadn't slept. I sensed trouble. 10 young archers and 5 strong firebenders would make even a master sweat. I regret buying a house on the outskirts, where hardly anyone lives. Fighting back, I ran toward the shore, where my prepared ship was waiting. Everything is so messed up. I wish life were like a movie, with a clear villain who looks wicked, does bad things, and shows how bad they are. You'd know who to hit. But here, there's confusing fire sages, an unclear Ozai, crazy aristocrats. The deeper you go, the worse it gets. I was only 100 meters from the ship when the firebenders got stronger. Their flames turned a scary mix of black and blood red, making me feel threatened. Defending became harder. Some attacks hit me, he said, taking off his outer garment to display a horrible black burn on his back. I don't know what kind of fire it was, but I couldn't control my bending for a year after it grazed me. The energy is gone now, so there's no way to know. Thank goodness some idiots didn't follow my last order. You must have been a good leader. In the end, we fought off the attackers with my people. Then came years of survival. We learned what we shouldn't have. They'll never let us live. The chat left a lot of questions unanswered, which was less scary than disconcerting. These kinds of enemies won't let you grow bored. More training means more open chakras. You can't practice firebending here, but it's not just about the moves. Don't rush. Breathe evenly. My teacher yelled. I don't blame him. It's the 3rd day, and he's teaching me how to breathe, like at least a regular firebender. If you don't breathe right, you lose energy when you release. How did you even learn lightning redirection with such basic skills? I stood under natural lightning strikes, trying to figure it out. He said, radical, but effective, knowing that I could heal. 3 weeks later, capital of the Northern Water Tribe, a perfectly timed double backflip helped me get away from a stream of fire. I always wanted to learn how to do acrobatics, even if it was just to show off. My teacher is angry today, no holding back. Take a deep breath, concentrate, and go. When I sent Jung's lightning back at him, I felt like a kid with a new toy. I had done it previously, but redirecting natural lightning is different than making a bender, which is more personal. Unfortunately, the difference is big. That's how I was cooked the first time. We all agreed to just use firebending. Because I'm honest, I stopped taking care of my water shield. Maybe it was dumb, but the drive was never ending. My teacher's favorite thing to do is to raise a pillar of fire. He raised 4 pillars at just the perfect time, trapping me. He would raise a 5th one right under me if he could, but we're not fighting. We're simply practicing. I lost again, though. That's enough for today. You're wearing out the old man. You've gotten in with a bad crowd, teacher. Other waterbenders taught him how to successfully act like a weak old man so he wouldn't have to work. Next sparring's with all elements. Get ready for a rematch, I said with a smile. With all 3 of my weapons, I win 7 out of 10 fights. I'm making up for it in some way. My teacher is still too much for me, even though I've only been learning firebending for a week. There's a lot of time. 10 days ago, we got to the capital, but things have just recently calmed down. The water tribe became used to living among the inhabitants of the old admiral. At first, we had to deal with those who were angry and wanted to convey how happy they were with the agreement. We set up patrols to stop them, but that didn't fix the real problem. Things got worse, and the council determined that if you can't beat them, you should lead them. They set up training fields where benders, not just the talented ones, could settle their differences. By the gods, they'll make me laugh about their sexual preferences one day. It's scary how those males look at each other, with burning eyes. People started to let go of their stress through good beatings, and the tension in the air began to dissolve. There is no relationship between the two groups, but being careful not to take sides is already a win. If I didn't know what to look for, it would be impossible to see that Paku and Jung Jung get along well. I know they are both members of the White Lotus, but when did they first meet? How do they talk to each other from far away? I haven't shown anyone the other parts of me yet, which is good. There is another person who can talk to the outer world. Right now, I don't need the Fire Nation fleet at the gates of the capital. There's no need to worry because Jung Jung understands what will happen if he messes up. More significantly, this is the one place where his people may live in peace instead of merely getting by, even though they don't always get along with the locals. Kyoshi Island. 94 years after the genocide of the air nomads. The wind had picked up a lot, signaling the start of the storm season, which used to be the worst period for the people of Kyoshi Island. Because all the houses here are made of wood and aren't very strong, a lot of people are rushing to fix their homes, and some have to completely rebuild them. That's all in the past, of course. Roku came to this island at some point and built strong stone dwellings for everyone out of benevolence. That day, the world showed me again how strong a woman's intuition can be. Suki knew who I was in less than an hour. Shizuka already knew I wasn't just one thing. After all, I've taken her on treks across the Earth Kingdom for years. At first, I kept my second identity as Roku a secret, but subsequently, there was no point. I knew her well enough. I should have told all of my loved ones who I am a long time ago because I trust them entirely. Is this safe? Shizuka questioned, her voice shaking with fear. Definitely. The worst that could happen is a deep sleep, I told Suki's worried mother as I gently patted her hand. We chose to give Suki my gift of bending. Shizuka is already strong, as we saw when we traveled through the Earth Kingdom. Moon, stop it already. If Naruto says everything will be fine, then it will be. Suki said. She was my smart girl and trusted me more than some other kids. Okay, I'll be quiet, Shizuka said, raising her hands and giving me a look that said she didn't like what I was saying. What should I do? Suki is a daddy's girl, and is always on my side, although Shizuka simply thinks that. I don't get to the island very frequently, and Suki misses me, so she acts like I'm the best thing ever when I'm there. I started to look inside myself while standing behind Suki. I haven't looked at my Kai in a while, and it's not standing still. The pathways that Kai runs through have gotten bigger and stronger. At this pace, my body will be quite similar to the nature of spirits by the time I'm 30 or 40. In a manner, I'll be a huge channel for energy. Those channels couldn't handle letting all of my Kai out of its sources right now. Spirits don't have this problem. They can put as much Kai into an attack as they wish. Even the least developed of them know what it's like to be out of Kai. My life energy is surging, energizing my entire body and erasing any imperfection with each passing second. The first two chakras are wide open, and the third is nearly within grasp. Everything is wonderful here. I delved further till I reached the most essential part, the elemental sources. Something similar appeared in the work, Full-Time Bender. The sources resemble the elements stated there. Fire and earth are progressively gathering power. Their radiance has increased dramatically since the last time. The initial element is hardening. Soon, I'll have a blue gemstone, just like all the higher spirits. If it weren't for the rather reasonable folks here, I'd assume I'd walked into a typical cultivation environment. The growth of the sources is very similar to the infamous refinement of the Dantian. I could spend hours watching the movement of the sources, but first there's work to be done. Suki possesses a dormant gift in earthbending. She only needs one push to activate the entire system. Bracing for the anguish, I concentrated on a little bit of the earth's source. As soon as I was ready, I ripped off a piece and directed it toward Suki. I believe I heard my teeth grind and my entire body scream in anguish, but we're used to it. It's nothing compared to generating a new source. It is bearable. Although the entire transfer took only a few seconds, it felt like hours had passed. Are you okay? Suki supported my body. Yes, it worked. Don't wake me up for 12 hours, I managed to mutter before my body completely collapsed. The final thing I did was turn my head slightly to the left, resting my face on Shizuka's soft lap. Fortunately, she does not wear armor at home. The following day, the first thing I noticed when I woke up was a loss of vitality, like if my body was missing a limb, despite the fact that everything was in place. This is how my mind sees the lack of active Kai. Even without going into myself, I can confidently state that the sources have stopped their continual movement. The issue remains, how long will this state last? I will sort it out later. Shizuka muttered, "Shish, be careful, she's sleeping so peacefully," as I opened my eyes. I assumed it was Shizuka, but Suki was lying on me, her little hands gripping my garments. She has grown tremendously, and her training reflects this. She will turn 10 in a month, yet she appears to be at least 12. I carefully lifted her and moved her to the opposite side of the bed. I would like to stay here longer, but I am starving. Have you tested to see whether she can bend yet? Or did we simply fall asleep together? I inquired after finishing a big meal. Suki usually sleeps in her own room. Not at all. Suki passed out just after you. We fell asleep in separate rooms, but after 5 hours, Suki entered with her eyes closed. It was a little scary, she shrugged. Then she pushed me to the side of the bed and cuddled up on your stomach, completely forgetting about me. Even in her sleep, she chooses you, she complained. Of course, how could anyone not love me? I smirked, but seriously, I have an idea why she suddenly came to us in the middle of the night. Most likely, it's due to the friendship we formed. Remember what I told you about such a bond? She couldn't help but blush when she heard those remarks. I told her this while we were having a passionate moment, whispering in her ear about the possibilities if we had such a connection. Double your delight, projecting our sentiments onto each other during the act. I think that would be incredible. That's why I convinced her to activate her gift first. Are you certain you can prevent this bond? What if it reaches Suki at the wrong time? She said again, evidently worried. Everything's under control, but nothing is flawless in this world. She doesn't need to know that sometimes, at the height of pleasure, when you're not thinking about any bonds, Yui receives echoes of my feelings. And, while Yui previously thought it was merely a vivid dream of mine, she is now beginning to suspect, if she hasn't already. The servants have reported seeing her multiple times at night in the palace's west wing. If she needed to use the restroom, she wouldn't have to leave her room, there is one attached. Recently, I visited Kaya's room in the west wing. Everything now fits into place. Yui seemed to have already completed the riddle, guided by my feelings. However, the walls there are soundproof, and I reinforce them with my Kai every time, making the walls and door stronger than many worldly metals. With her abilities, she cannot eavesdrop or open that door stealthily. Not caught, not guilty. It is too early for her to be aware of this, she needs to mature further. The new tie between Suki and me felt like a weak thread in comparison to the huge rope that connected us with Yui. The most recent test of our relationship with my younger sister revealed that we can communicate and feel each other across the entire North Pole, and the bond becomes stronger with each passing day. I can send Kai to her if we're both at our tribe's capital. I hope that those links will someday allow me to sense the females wherever they are. That way, I'll know right away if something like an attack occurs. You have received a little lemon warning. By the way, where's my promised reward? Shizuka has one quirk. During our personal moments, she gets very docile and agrees to everything. Her dignity as a Kyoshi warrior will not allow her to break her pledge. Suki loves you, and you still want something in return. Shizuka attempted to deflect. Suki owes me nothing, she can have everything. But you've incurred 2 commitments to your husband. Don't tell me you want to break your word. Despite being an adult, she consistently responds to my mocking. I never go back on my word, Shizuka proclaimed forcefully. Exactly what I needed to hear. So it won't be difficult for you to lighten my load. With your mouth, of course, I said right away. I sometimes curse Shizuka's mother. She tackled her daughter's sexual education in a unique manner. Seduce a passing waterbender, no trouble. Slip an aphrodisiac, why not? All for Kyoshi Island. Giving pleasure with her lips or granting access to her other orifice, however, is strictly prohibited. Shizuka inherited weird idiosyncrasies. However, this simply adds to the overall intrigue. I always got what I wanted. Shizuka forgets her own rules too easily. Once she's excited, she'll do anything. I expected nothing less, Shizuka grumbled, wiping a strand of hair from her face. What happens if Suki wakes up? Maybe we should wait until night. She's sleeping soundly. I listened to our bond and confirmed, we've got at least 3 hours. You've convinced me, Shizuka said quickly, attempting to appear less eager, but I recall how much you enjoyed tasting my member. Shizuka will gradually forget what was previously considered off-limits in our lovemaking. Shizuka kneeled before me and took my erect member in her hands, beginning with a soft lick on the tip. Holding her hair, I gently guided her head lower. Shizuka picked up on it right away. In the next second, my penis was locked in her wet mouth. Nice, but not enough. May I asked Shizuka, starting to shove into her lips at my own pace. With no objections in her gaze, I began pounding deeply, reaching her throat. When I touched the back of her throat, her lips kissed my groin. Breathe through your nose, okay. I spoke quietly, witnessing her strain to breathe. The first few times with deep throating were uncomfortable, you don't get used to it soon. Shizuka murmured in answer, giving me an angry expression. Now, I can see how much you appreciate being taken by force, I said, saliva flowing from her mouth. The proud leader of Kyoshi's soldiers kneels before an invader from the water tribe and joyfully serves him. What if your subordinates saw you now? Does their strict leader love having her lips used like a hole? It's no surprise that your panties may be wrung out. A puddle has developed. I discovered this side of her only later, she was too shy to exhibit it. Shizuka enjoys my domination. In bed, she's a helpless slave. The less freedom she has, the more she becomes wet. I'm coming. I hurried up, putting myself directly down Shizuka's throat. No, swallow every last drop, not allowing her to pull away. Shizuka accepted my member, and we had an audience, specifically, a female viewer, right away. Looking through the window, I noticed a small flower blooming from the tiny crevices in the wall, its center like an eye. It wasn't the first time Drea had witnessed my bedroom exploits. The versatility of plant bending is mind-blowing, it allows her to make plants for nearly any purpose. Drea observed my first night with Kaya from beginning to end. I have nothing against it, I'm not letting her leave anyway. That luscious ass won't be found anyplace else, and she's making good progress in comprehending human behavior. After releasing Shizuka's hair, I began to admire her appearance with pleasure. Her tangled hair, my seed pouring down her chin, it just increased my excitement. Same day, a quiet lunch with close relatives. Did you overexert yourself during bending training? Suki asked her mother with understanding. She had been moving carefully and gently all day. Yes, that's it, Shizuka said, feigning a smile. Oh, your mother tried a new exercise this morning, one we'd been planning for weeks, I remarked with a faint chuckle. While Suki slept, I finally completed my plan. There was just one promise remaining, and I did not hesitate to use it. I didn't prepare her backside for this agony for nothing. But I only recently discovered the ideal oil for anal play. I needed to make her first experience as pleasant as possible so that she would want to do it again. Everything went perfectly. Her twisted, lustful expression will stay with me for a long time. It must have been something difficult. Mom hasn't been herself since that strange trial, Suki said, wriggling on my lap and peering into my eyes. Will you show it to me too? Of course, I will. But it's only allowed once you become 16, I said, as Shizuka kicked my leg under the table. That's true teamwork. She anticipated my words and attempted to avoid the inevitable outcome. Don't forget your words, she said, waving her finger at me. Shizuka would have glared a hole through me if she were from Toph's family. Reminding her that I'm about her daughter's age doesn't help, and no one is forcing anyone. Let her grow up and make her own decisions first. There was a strange tension in the air at the table. Suki lazily ate her rice porridge while swinging her legs around. Based on the look in Shizuka's eyes, she still intended to hurt me. Drea sat by herself, immersed in her own thoughts. About her, should I thank Aunt Lan or curse her? I had been thinking for hours. Peeping was still kind of normal, but sprouting a leaf that looked like a sponge and soaking up all our leftovers. I might have missed something in Aunt Lan's books. Drea couldn't have thought up such sick things on her own, could she? What is she saying now? Drea said, I can't wait to taste Naruto's fresh kai, and smacked her lips. Naruto was right, as always, you shouldn't believe everything you read. Aunt Lan said men's kai tastes bad, but even here, my Naruto proved her wrong. But it's still not enough, she remarked as she touched her belly. They say we don't appreciate what we have. How could she miss out on so much good food? She looked at Shizuka with envy. It's time to get everyone's mind off of things. I praised Shizuka's meal by saying, your cooking is always great. I'll take Suki on my shoulders and we'll test your new skills, I remarked. Finally, she cheered right away. The others rushed after us, but Shizuka waddled like a penguin to try to catch up. Drea followed without thinking, still buried in her daydreams. We could come to a resolution after an hour of Suki's huffing and puffing. Her earthbending powers were turned on, and earth energy flowed freely through her channels, slowly making them bigger and stronger. Now she could hardly move a little stone. Manipulate is too harsh of a term. At times, she was able to move it a little bit. That sounds more honest. Did you think you'd split boulders or cause earthquakes with your steps? You just became an earthbender today. I rubbed Suki's head. It looks like that's precisely what she wanted, since she looked away. There's no need to hurry. Our connection is still growing, and my part of you hasn't gone away yet, so expect your strength to grow. Look what I can do now, Suki exclaimed, focusing hard. Her emotions screamed, praise me, praise me. Wow, I said. She figured it pretty quickly for someone who had never done it before. Good girl, I said as I hugged her and felt waves of love and joy come back. Suki never turned down hugs or other signs of affection, she loved them. Banyan's way worked better. I would have to be near to Suki for almost a month, and I would have to hug her all day, which she adored. My piece of her would get stronger faster. It would break down into her energy once it reached a specific mass. Suki's earthbending skills were natural, thus my special piece didn't come into play yet. But when the process was over, she might be a very strong earthbender. I think I'd be without bending for slightly over 5 months, but I could still be able to get to the spirit world. The weather was always hard to anticipate. It was constantly stormy half the day and hot the other half. What did I do? Nothing. I didn't bend. I just sat and fanned myself with a fan I manufactured myself. I had nothing to do because I had evidently spent a lot of time learning how to bend. I was bored now and didn't know how to keep myself busy. I couldn't spend the whole day enjoying romantic things because Shizuka had things to do and Suki held my hand all day. Master Naruto. Master Naruto. Oh, how it sounds. So heavy. Yes, yes, Ayumi. One of the people who surreptitiously observed me work out. Being the wet dream of beautiful women is fantastic. It makes my already big ego even bigger. Unagi came ashore, and it's trying to say something, she said with confidence at first but ended up sounding uneasy. It's making noise and swimming back and forth, she said. It looks interesting. You should look into it. Come on. Let's go. Suki was already pulling on my hand. There wasn't much to do for fun here, so every event was a big deal. All the locals were gathered at a fair distance from the sea, talking about Unagi's peculiar behavior in low voices. The king of these seas looked me in the eye as soon as he spotted me, then lowered his head like a person. This was quite strong. Even when I rode him, he was still full of spirit. But now something bad had happened, and he needed my help. But even when I knew this, I still couldn't trust him right away. It was the weakest my body had ever been, and I couldn't physically beat him. One thought crossed my thoughts. Fox Spirit, Wan Shi Tong, send your assistant here. I know you can hear me. I yelled, which scared the gathering. After a minute, it got harder to keep a straight expression and not flush. What do you want? A voice murmured immediately behind me. Damn, Wan Shi Tong and his helpers both have this weird knack of showing up right behind me without me noticing. Another theory has been proven. Wan Shi Tong is keeping an eye on me since I'm valuable. He doesn't want me to die at all. There's something about me that I think has to do with our plans. Can you talk to Unagi and find out what he wants or needs? I asked. It would have been helpful to have Eliza Thornberry's present here. And I'll forget about your portal stunt, I said right away. The fox spirit snorted, as if I care. But you won't stop bothering me, will you? So smart. Okay, but don't call me about little things again, she said, waving her tail away. Mom, brother called the fox spirit. I heard a girl say loudly in the background. Please come to me, Badgermole spirit. I want a cute, Blind badgermole spirit. I know you can hear me. That same girl who wanted to ride Unagi, exactly like me, she hadn't changed. The fox spirit then told me what was wrong with Unagi. First of all, Unagi was a woman. I'm not a zoologist. I'm simply a regular person who figures out gender by looking for a penis or eggs. Second, she was expecting a baby, which was the problem. Unagi was a mutated water-bending snake spirit that had gotten worse with time. However, her race tried to go back to their roots through genetics or ancestral memory. She couldn't alter herself, but she could strive to make her children stronger, which is what she had been doing all along. When Avatar Kyoshi cut off her island from the mainland, a natural water energy source evolved under the island. Unagi had claimed it and put her eggs there. For years, they had lived on pure water energy, which was supposed to bring them closer to their ancestors. They were in a transitional stage, bending creatures that weren't spirits yet but weren't mongrels anymore. That's why she hadn't left the island's territory. She was safeguarding her children. Natural sources can dry up, and that's what was occurring today. She was smart enough to know that the evil guy who enjoyed riding her and could bend water might be able to help. A good mother who was willing to do anything to save her kids. They were reaching the end of their growth and couldn't be born until they were completely full of vigor. I don't have bending right now, but let's try, I said. I wasn't putting anything on the line, but I was interested in what might happen. Say hi to the owl for me, I said goodbye to the fox ghost. Tell her I'll be there soon. We held on to one of Unagi's whiskers and dove down. I could hold my breath for 30 minutes, which was how long I had. 3 minutes went by, and I was already feeling sick. During my chakra opening training, I had never dived this deep. I feared I would die before we swam into a cave. It was so black down there that I couldn't see anything. But I thought the path was almost right for Unagi, even though my body was scraping against the cave walls. I would have bruises and wounds, but my garments would keep me safe from the rest. They were valued as much as a medium-sized city in the Earth Kingdom and were made of spider silk. But not just any spider, one from the spirit world. It was stretchy and robust, but it fit too tightly, like a wetsuit. But I could handle it for safety. We paused, and I felt around until I found something round that was the size of a soccer ball, an egg. One more, and then another, presumably the last one. I had a lot of eggs in my hands. How could I hang on now? I let go of the eggs and wrapped Unagi's whisker around my body. What a useful whisker. I hadn't noticed it before since I was preoccupied, but now I could feel the water energy flowing out. The eggs shouldn't have been able to do this, but they were stealing energy from me, and the process was speeding up. I didn't know that Unagi had already taken me to shallow water. When I opened my eyes, I saw 3 shiny eggs in my palms that sparkled wonderfully in the sun. When I had roughly 10% of my energy left, the outflow of energy slowed down. The outflow was still there, although it was hard to see. It's possible that there were times when they went into a boosted mode and used a lot of energy. Okay, we'll watch. Time to improve my waterbending. They would help me improve my channels and source while bending was not possible. Don't worry, I'll take care of your kids, I said softly as I stroked my living trainers. People started to remember the spirits that used to be so close after the Unagi event. A lot of stories and legends changed their meanings altogether. There was a lot of excitement around this topic for a few weeks. Every night, the residents would congregate around the bonfire in the center of the hamlet and tell each other everything they had ever heard from their parents or grandparents. The stories ran out soon. After all, the few people who lived on Kyoshi Island grew up in a small village, but that didn't stop them, it only made them more excited. They began to make up stories right then and there. I also like to tell stories, especially since I've seen numerous spirits with my own eyes. These meet-togethers made me think of summer camps, where the whole group or even a few of them would get together under old trees and in the fresh air. It was the time when I felt the most free. The eggs made things a little funny. The future lords of the seas needed a steady supply of kai, and I was always there for them. The next day, I understood how hard it is for all living things, even animals that spend days or weeks hatching their young. I had to create a backpack so I wouldn't have to worry about forgetting the little Unagi when I was out and about. But these little fears were more than made up for by the good things that came from their basic growth. I believed they would merely improve my kai channels and source, but I was very wrong. It was more like a nice surprise. The most important benefit is that you learn about the procedures that nature or the world puts into these wonderful creatures. I had never seen or felt how water works as it makes life. This knowledge of how waterbending creatures are born helped me become much better at waterbending. I already know that when I activate my Kai, I will naturally go up in rank in the water element. It's time to think about new things now. I should study Van Shi Tong's notes regarding the people who live in the spirit realm because it's a significant topic. The library is waiting for me, but I should tell Drea not to read anything that can be bad for her. Drea might not know it, but her cheerful demeanor automatically attracts people to her. I was worried that her good looks would cause problems between the women and girls, but it looks like I was wrong. The Kyoshi warriors were very friendly to my friend, and today she is living with the other people on the island. I hope they don't spoil her, but with the kinds of literature she's read, I wonder who will wind up spoiling whom. I asked Suki, who had a bandage over her eyes, "Where am I standing?" Suki has been wandering about without shoes and with her eyes closed for a whole week. I believe that the sooner she learns about seismic sensitivity, the better she will be able to handle the element. So far, there have been no complaints about it. Since she was a toddler, the girl has been used to being disciplined and working hard. She doesn't depend on talent, she depends on her willpower. "Here," she said, pointing at me with her finger. "Let's make the job harder." Correct. I communicated her my permission through our connection. "Now I'm going to start moving. Are you ready?" I said. She nodded with determination, so I started walking in a random direction. As the activity went on, I slowly built up the pace until I was running gently at the finish. I could have gone as fast as I wanted, but I had to go slowly so I wouldn't make any noise that she could use to find me. "So, how did it go?" Suki inquired, almost dancing in place. "Perfect. Only a few people have such a useful skill, you should be proud." I messed up her hair. "Wait a minute," I said as I held back Suki's flaming hand as she went to take off the bandage. "We need to give your eyes time to get used to the light. We'll take off the bandage at home with the curtains closed. Yay, I'll be able to hunt koi fish again soon." She lifted her fist in the air. Suki's favorite move is just throwing a stone, which is the most basic move for earthbenders. This is why many don't stop there and learn more complicated moves. But being simple is what makes things work. Why make up tricks when you can just throw a stone at someone's head and hit them? We got Unagi interested in this. She would spend whole days sadly looking toward the village, as if she missed her kids. We decided to give the snake something else to do so she wouldn't appear any sadder. Suki came up with a little game to help them get better at hitting their targets. Unagi swims underwater and scares the fish onto the shore, where an earthbender is waiting for them. Local fishermen quickly pick up the shocked or already dead fish. There's no point in letting nice fish go to waste. Two birds with one stone. When I was alone with Shizuka, it felt like things were moving too quickly, and I couldn't shake the impression that the audience had grown, especially when I was wearing the backpack. You move ahead, and then the eggs strike you in the rear. It sounds strange, but that's how it is. They named the daughter I helped deliver Kyoshi, and sometimes she comes to see us. The first earthbender to be born on Kyoshi Island gets the right to carry the name of the island's founder. Kyoshi can already walk and talk. Looking at her made me realize again how quickly time goes by. It's a good thing I only spend it on things I love. By the end of my 5th week on the island, my peace had grown enough mass to keep Suki's gift alive until it completely dissolved. "Is everything okay?" "It doesn't seem like enough," Suki remarked for what felt like the umpteenth time. She had gotten too used to sleeping in the same bed as us. "But we don't need to be so close anymore." "Yes, everything's fine. You can sleep in your own room now," I said for what felt like the 100th time. "Naruto will only sleep with me now," Shizuka said, sticking her tongue out at Suki and wrapping her arms around me from behind. She whispered in my ear, "What got into you? Why are you making things worse? Watch her face. She's so cute when she's mad. There it is. Her cheeks are puffy, her face is a little red, and her eyes are flashing daggers. A hamster that fights. HMPH, she eventually raised her nose. I was just asking Naruto. Don't get in the way of other people's conversations, she said, waving her hand. A good answer from Suki. I mentally gave her a thumbs up. So that's how you talk to your mom. Shizuka feigned to fall for it, but she couldn't disguise her smile. She flung a pillow at Suki and said, "Someone's in for it now. You need to work on your accuracy." Suki evaded the missile and rushed out of the room right away. She was lucky because Shizuka wasn't going to stop there and pursued after her. Dria's head poked out of another room, and her eyes were shining with excitement. She chose to join the hunt without even knowing what was going on. "Help me, Naruto. I heard someone outside the house call out. I want to play tag too." Dria says. Divine tickle technique. Shizuka is in a fun mood today. Ha ha ha. I give up. I give up. Stop. Suki laughed. "What kind of noise is this at night?" I said with a smile, but then I yelled, "I'm coming to help," and ran after them. As soon as I observed one of the eggs start to break, I exclaimed to everyone else in the house, "They're about to hatch." Everyone looked at the eggs expectantly for less than 5 seconds. After the first one, they all started to exhibit signals that they were about to hatch. After a minute, the first one broke through the shell. It was a dragonling. The blue-tinted face looked like that of a Chinese dragon, with the same whiskers, little horns, short legs, and a very strong jawline. The dragonling took its first shaky steps toward me after looking around the whole room with its smart eyes. It knows who I am. The others came out after the first one. The second one was white, and the third one was rather strange because its scales were red. Who laid Unagi's eggs? Perhaps it was the dragons that the Sun Warriors worshipped. Maybe like Ran and Xiao. Well, I won't get into their private lives. I couldn't help but pick it up because it looked so funny, but I still don't know how to tell if it's a boy or a girl. As soon as my skin met the small body of the advanced Unagi form, my water kai started to be absorbed. Wasn't that enough for you? This is the last day I'm going to feed you. From now on, your mother will take care of you. The next day, like a real guy, I kept my word and gave the happy mother her kids. If it hadn't been for the night when I felt a bold invasion of the house, that's how the narrative would have ended. I used my senses to figure out who had come to see us. I whispered, "What are you doing here?" as I saw the faces of the future dragons try to climb up the blanket and onto the bed. I couldn't get them to go away. They curled up at my feet and started doing what came naturally to them, draining my reserve. I could have pushed them out, but my hand wouldn't move. Also, they make a cute purring sound while they sleep. I have a penchant for cats. In my last incarnation, I would even go silently about the home while the cat was asleep. There were times when I didn't feel like I was in charge. They came back for 2 more nights. I thought I'd never get rid of them, but it turned out to be easier than I imagined. Their organ, which was still tuning, was responsible for taking in external kai, which is full of contaminants. I didn't think I'd get to witness what they could do, but what they did during their play was enough to show me the main contrasts between them. The first one, which has blue scales, can already shoot a stream of water, and it doesn't even need a water reservoir like Unagi's mother. It collects water from the air. It's a good thing, because it takes regular waterbenders years to do that. But certain creatures come with these default drivers already installed. The second one, which is white, quietly fires ice needles, but for now, they're just regular needles. Those needles will become huge spears when the plant is older. I already feel bad for the ship captains who might lose not just their ships but also their lives. The red one makes the water around it boil as if it were hot just by being there. It can breathe forth hot steam, but it can only attack from a short distance. Still, it has more defined muscles and seems stronger than its brothers and sisters. It would be good to get their support in the future. The ocean is their habitat, and I can see them coming out of the water to quickly attack hostile ships. Before the adversaries can fight back, they're already back underwater. This might happen because I gave them my kai. They think of me as a bizarre but near relative who was just unlucky enough to be born without scales or a tail. That's how I see their pitying looks at my skin. It's very likely that they'll be smarter and more intelligent than their mother. Another reason is that there isn't enough local kai. They won't notice it when they're tiny, but they will need to move to other regions to fully grow. The North Pole is a good place for 2 of them to come, and the Spirit Oasis is close by. I think they will enjoy it. The red one is a giant question mark. I think it would be much more comfortable near the Fire Nation archipelago, which has a lot of volcanoes. I won't make any arrangements yet, I'll wait until they are older. Dria and I need to go to the Shiwang Desert quickly. Knowledge is waiting. The Palace of the Fire Lord. The second Prince Ozai's rooms. The second prince's room was very nice, which showed how important he was. Most of the inside was painted a rich burgundy color and had different symbols of the Fire Nation on it. At that moment, the owner of the room was writing carefully on a piece of nice paper. He was quite good at calligraphy. The brush in his hand seemed to be an extension of his body as it moved across the page. At that moment, a blast of wind blew open one of the windows, almost putting out the only light in the room, which was a candle on the table. "Did anyone catch that?" Ozai inquired, his voice echoing into the emptiness. A floorboard creaked softly as a shadowy figure knelt, their dark robes merging effortlessly with the dim light. "No surveillance detected," the man said, his voice carrying a hint of raspiness. "I wasn't concerned," the prince replied with a nod. "What insights have you gained regarding the issue?" A subtle urgency tinged his typically indifferent tone, and his fingers gripped the elegant brush a bit more firmly. "The mysterious essence impacts our thoughts directly. I'd argue it aims at the life force," the figure started. "You can start to see noticeable changes by the second week after interacting with the fire sages, firebending. As the third week unfolds, the individual starts to exhibit a growing sense of cynicism and aggression, often without awareness of this shift. Their reasoning becomes unclear, not to the extent of being socially inept, but their thoughts focus entirely on fulfilling their wants." "We were already aware of that," the prince remarked with annoyance, shrugging his shoulders. "Share something fresh," he insisted, making the candle flame dance briefly in response. "As you wish," the figure stood still, unaffected by the prince's show of feeling. "Just as you thought, it is possible to resist it. It takes unwavering determination and a resilient mindset to challenge every idea. The herbal tea from Taku is quite beneficial. Using it from time to time helps to clear the mind. Some believe that the fire sages may be lost causes. They embraced the spirit, granting them the power to control that formidable firebending." "Is that everything?" Ozai lifted an eyebrow in curiosity. Noticing the figure's subtle nod, he let out a tired sigh, rubbing his temples gently. "A decade of hidden studies and the lives of countless dedicated officers spent, leaving us with nearly nothing to demonstrate for our efforts. I hope you've looked after the families of the officers who have fallen. They understood the potential dangers they faced by stepping forward as test subjects. They earned my respect, Ozai," he stated, his intense golden eyes locked onto his servant. "All matters have been taken care of. The officers have been reported as having lost their lives in confrontations with Earth Kingdom forces. Their families have received sufficient compensation to endure for generations." "Excellent," the prince said as he started to walk back and forth. "My misguided father perceived nothing but adversaries beyond our shores. He was completely oblivious to the danger hiding in the darkness, poised to bring that audacious spirit into my realm. My not-so-bright brother, suited only for battle. Those noble sheep, always eager to take more than their fair portion from the grand feast. My father has held the throne for far too long. He's oblivious to the issues that are accumulating. It's time for me to take charge," he said, his fists tightening. "As soon as my cherished father passes, my ascension will take place. They won't grasp my perspective if I stray from the norm, and my group lacks the power to confront ages of tradition." The prince voiced his thoughts, oblivious to the still figure nearby. "Let me share our plan." He paused at the window. "Dispatch troops to Taku. Allow them to take any necessary steps to assist the herbalist in enhancing the tea. Assemble a team of disposable fighters to support my heir, Prince Azula's heroically fallen son. That will shatter her resolve. Discuss the poison book with Ursa. Her influence on Zuko is excessive, and it's time for her to step back. Following the coronation, let's rouse our inactive agents within the noble circles. It's time to tidy up. Check in with me in 2 days." "As you wish," the figure responded, disappearing as quietly as it had come. Gratitude to Grandfather Sozin for establishing this tradition, a devoted companion for every heir, as if he foresaw the challenges ahead, the future Fire Lord reflected. "Let's see who can outsmart the other. The authority of bending power should consistently be in service of the ruler, without any exceptions." Shujing City, Master Piandao's estate. Shujing had always been a rather ordinary town in the Fire Nation, just one among many that dotted the archipelago. The presence of the renowned swordsman and blacksmith Piandao still hadn't altered that fact. Whispers suggested that his estate lacked a warm welcome. However, Those fortunate enough to have visited couldn't stop praising the remarkable cooking of his servant, the detailed paintings that decorated the estate, and the garden that brought peace to weary souls. The owner of the estate remained indifferent to the gossip that surrounded him. He devoted himself to his cherished interests, bringing warmth to his aging heart. "What's bothering you, my dear friend? I assumed you would be taking care of the garden," Piandao said, looking taken aback. He even thought twice before interrupting his friend while he was working, and it was unusual to see him leave his tasks unfinished. He had only seen that happen twice throughout their lengthy friendship. "Great news." The man waved a letter. "So, has the vegetable seller come around to your feelings yet?" Piandao playfully raised an eyebrow, teasingly. "That's quite amusing." The man, fat, chuckled, his ears revealing a hint of embarrassment. "I discovered this hidden within the bamboo. It has the White Lotus seal." He passed the letter to the master, who had gotten up from his chair. While Fat prepared a fresh pot of tea, a member of the White Lotus began to explore the contents of the letter. "The news is good," Piandao remarked, taking a new cup of fragrant tea with a pleased expression. "Our northern friend reports that the unthinkable has occurred. Fire Nation individuals have already reached the capital," he finished with a flourish, looking for a response. Tea splashed everywhere. Fat's calm demeanor broke as the liquid from his cup briefly spilled from his mouth. Jing Jonga brought his son Arnook's tribe to the capital as new Water Tribe residents, Piandao said, a hint of amusement in his voice as he recalled his friend's tea-splattering moment. "Let's put the jokes aside for now," Fat implored, casting him a disapproving glance. "Allow an elder to savor his tea." Okay, I'm finished with the jokes," Piandao said, shifting to a serious tone. "I trust this new space will bring comfort to the heart of a warrior who has dedicated his life to our people." He raised his teacup in salute, reminiscing about the moments they had stood side by side in battle. "Check out the leader of the Water Tribe. So clever, managing to bring everything inside the house," Piandao laughed gently. "Could you pass me compound number 13, please?" he asked. "Is there a hidden message here?" The order possessed a sophisticated encryption system that only a select few were privy to. Even if others were aware, they would find it challenging, as it depended on understanding unique ink formulations. When used on paper, these inks uncovered words that were once hidden from view. "It seems you've been bested, my old friend," the estate's owner announced after unraveling the message. "You and Roku are actually one and the same. Alas, it seems we've been defeated." Fat gestured with a hint of disregard. "If this holds true, and our experts are 99% dependable, a new avatar has come into existence." "It could happen," Piandao said with a steady demeanor. "However, there are numerous irregularities associated with them. It's important that we take our time and consider all the facts before making any decisions." A new avatar's arrival triggers a surge of energy in all four bending temples, an event that hasn't occurred in many years. "We'll continue to observe and assist in any way possible. Regardless of their status as the avatar, we cannot allow them to slip away, especially with everything that's happening," he said, his expression growing serious. "Is anyone still keeping an eye on the estate?" Fat inquired with a hint of anxiety. As a battle-hardened fighter who had honed his skills under a legendary swordmaster, he was keenly aware of the lurking presence around him, yet the Watchers exhibited remarkable subtlety. In this, he depended entirely on Piandao. "They just won't let up. It's been years of them keeping an eye on us," Piandao remarked, shaking his head. "Being constantly watched for years was something no one appreciated. It's unfortunate that our leader fails to recognize the danger that's so close at hand. He'll pass away believing that everything is all right," Piandao murmured. "The fire sages are becoming more powerful. I hope Ozai can buy us some time. We are still without masters who could stand against them." Up next is the Dragon of the West, Iroh. Fat paused thoughtfully. "He seems to have more accomplishments, and I've heard that Azulon has a preference for him. I've encountered the second prince on a few occasions, and it's clear he won't hesitate to step over anyone, whether they are strangers or family, to achieve his ambitions. Such leaders play a crucial role, particularly as we look toward a challenging future filled with opposition. Increase the team size for this spirit investigation. We require all available details. Gather your writing tools, my friend. It's time for us to take action." The realm of spirits. The tree of time. The ancient spirits recall the tree that has stood here since the dawn of the first spirits. Long ago, serene beings gathered below it, seeking wisdom and harmony within themselves. However, once Vadu was confined within the tree, the surrounding region turned treacherous for miles because of the dark energy it released. In this once vibrant location, the only sound that echoed was the powerful impact of one of the two mightiest spirits colliding with a barrier forged by the alliance of humans and spirits. "Soon, my time will arrive," Vadu whispered, yet no spirit ventured near. "I can sense your resolve fading," he whispered with a smirk, aware of the rising tide of dark spirits and the barrier's waning strength against his lingering energy. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I'm thrilled you watched the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe for even more exciting content coming your way soon.